Welcome to the All Financial Hour podcast with Steve All. We've had talk, of course, about market volatility. Will stocks go down? Some investors will push money into the market when that happens. It's called buying the dip. And I don't mean a can of Skull, okay? It's called buying the dip. An article recently on MarketWatch.com said that doing a Roth conversion when the market is down is also kind of like buying the dip. So why are those two similar, Steve, or do you even agree?
The idea around it of it is if you're doing Roth conversions, it's a lot of people will say, well, let's buy the dip, just like you said. So if I had $100,000 and it was down 10%, now I got $90,000. If I move that $90,000 to the Roth, when it grows back up in the future, I won't have to pay taxes on the gains. And it surprised me when I would talk about that. When people say, I did a Roth conversion, they say, well, you've paid the taxes on it. Yeah. You have to pay the taxes. But they're shocked when they find out that all the growth from that part forward is also tax-free.
That is crazy.
That's what a lot of people don't understand. And why would you do this? Why would you prepay the tax on $90,000 and then have to pay taxes on the gains later? No, that's not a true statement. A Roth IRA account, you've moved money from the taxable bucket to the never taxed a bucket, as long as you meet a couple 5-year rules. And most people, that's not a difficult thing to do. So we'll look at Roth conversions. And I want to go a half a step in a little bit different direction.
Please.
Because I've seen it like 2 to 3 times over the last 3 to 4 months, the backdoor Roth. So what do we mean by that? Okay, I've put money in my 401k. And back a long time ago, they used to allow you to make non-deductible contributions to your 401k. So people have non-deductible money. When you actually move away from the 401k, you can take the money you put in. Now, if you put in $20,000 and it grew to $50,000 over the time frame that you have it, only the original money that you put in, the $20,000, can go directly into your Roth account. That makes a lot of people mad. They go, well, it's got $50,000. Why don't I? I said, because it wasn't a Roth contribution. It was a non-deductible contribution. So that's one of the things that people look at. The other thing, when I see people try to do a backdoor Roth, I'm just the messenger. They have other IRA accounts, and they take $7,500 or this year $8,000, put it into a non-deductible IRA account, move it directly to their Roth account. And I look at them and I say, you can't do that. And they go, what do you mean I can't do that? I said, you have other IRA accounts. They said, so? I transferred the whole account. I said, that's not what the pro rata rule means. I did them for my wife, where I converted all of her assets that she had in IRA accounts to Roths. So now I can put $8,000 into an account for my wife, wait a few days, and then transfer it to a Roth because my income's too high to make a direct Roth contribution for my wife. So that's a backdoor Roth. But if you have other IRA accounts, if you have $1 million in IRA accounts and you put $8,000 in, yeah, you can convert it to a Roth, but it's a minor percentage. 8,000 of 1 million is less than 0.1%. So you got to be really careful to make sure you do these things right if you do it. Because if you do one that way, your accountant will get mad because he or she will have to do that form every year for the rest of your life. And then when you pass away, your kids get to do it. Ugh. So I'm going to sit here and say, I think Roth conversions can be one of the best things for people. If you have too much money in your IRAs and 401ks, Roth conversions can be absolutely fantastic. And when I say too much money, what do I mean? The average amount in an IRA and a 401k is about $170,000 to $190,000. So if you have an extra large, $250,000 to $750,000, chances are you'll spend those assets down during your lifetime.
Yeah.
And it also depends on how many kids you have, because the kids have to take it out in 10 years now. It's not this stretch over their lifetime anymore. If you've got a double X between $750,000 and about $1.5 million, chances are you might not spend those assets down. You might pass a tax time bomb onto your kids. And If you've got a triple X, 1.5 or more, my guess is you are going to pass on a tax time bomb. So it might make sense to come in, do a tax analysis to find out, would Roth conversions be advantageous for you? It all depends. How many kids do you have? If you got 10 kids, it's not that big of a deal. If you got one kid, it could be.
We, of course, know about the savvy of Warren Buffett, all right? And, of course, a lot of hype still about the market going up and down. Well, what does Warren Buffett think about all this, being 94 years old and just getting ready to step away, or is stepping away from the CEO position at Berkshire Hathaway? He's seen these things a few times, and he tells people that they need to check their emotions. Listen to this.
If it makes a difference to you whether your stocks are down 15% or not, you need to get a somewhat different investment philosophy. Certainly in the next 20 years, you'll see a period that somebody in the market described one time as a hair curler compared to anything you've seen before. It just happens periodically. That's part of the stock market, and that's what makes it a good place to focus your efforts if you've got the proper temperament for it. People have emotions, but you got to check them at the door when you invest.
So you see people all the time get emotional about these things. How do you help them check their emotions, especially at a time like this, Steve?
That's the hardest thing for us to do. We try to set it up in the beginning where we try to figure out what your risk reward is. How much are you willing to risk? And then what happens is everybody loves it when the markets go up. But as soon as they start going down, it's the question, okay, what should I do? The average investor is very good at buying high and selling low.
Right.
You know, they don't know when to get back in the market. So now the market's hot enough, they jump in, and it's usually at the top or the peak of a market. Then when that market goes down, they go, oh no, I can't let this go on forever. You know, oh my, I'm never going to retire now. And they sell low. That's my experience with a lot of people. That's why I think an investment advisor is great to have on your team. So when those emotional things come up, you got somebody that can talk to you and bring down the emotions, because our focus is where? Long term.
Absolutely.
So if you're in that emotions right now, God, I love the last 2 days, 3 days, you know, yes, no, I'm great, I'm fine. If the returns of the market offset your day, I agree with what Warren said. You're probably taking way too much risk. Allow us the opportunity to run a risk-reward analysis so that we can more match your ability for gains and losses to your portfolio so that you don't get out of whack.
It is not one of these shows without us touching on the latest phase of market volatility, and a lot of that is tied to the doings in Washington. President Trump's first 100 days have been in the books here for a little bit, and we're still not sure what to predict for the next 100. So, of course, that means your money could go up, down, sideways, who knows, amidst all this turmoil. Here, however, is what CNBC's Sharon Epperson has to say about just that.
The first thing is to build the kind of life that you want. What does that look like? That's what you're saving for. That's what you're working for. You also want to know what you can and what you need to spend. Not what you want to spend, but what you can spend and what you need to spend. And then you have to think about why you're spending at all. What is your why? The final thing is to know and believe in where your money sleeps. I thought that was very, very important, because you want to know where you're investing, where you're saving, and that money is doing what you want it to do, not making you have sleepless nights.
Well, for sure. We can't guarantee you won't have those every once in a while there if it's a thunder boomer in the Midwest that wakes you up middle of the night, Steve. But as far as trying to feel a little bit more at ease about your money, how do you help people prepare for these next 100 days or even 100 months?
Well, I think the biggest thing right now is because every time we have the noise that we currently have right now, what are you focusing upon? And most people focus upon the noise that they're hearing on the news stations. I love the days when Walter Cronkite used to give us the news versus his opinion of the news. So that part from there. So if we could focus on the long-term plan and shut off some of the noise. And I look at it, what parts of the plan are there? I believe that everybody should have a tax strategy. You know, we were told we were going to be in a lower tax bracket in retirement, and every time I ask how many people in this group are in a lower tax bracket, very few of them raise their hands. Income generation. How are you going to replace that paycheck? I get people that walk in and say, well, my advisor says we'll just make you plenty of money and you can take what you need. And I'm going, that doesn't sound like a plan to me. But how are you going to replace that income? I think that's important to have. Social Security optimization. Maximization says you both wait till you're 70. You might not be able to do that, but optimization is what's the best thing that you could probably do. What's a good strategy for you? Single people, much different than a married couple. Then we talk about legacy planning. We didn't plan on leaving assets to our kids, but a lot of us will. Have you thought about the taxation of that? Then we get into that investment side. I believe that your investments should be based on need, not greed. I get people that come in and they're a 9 or a 10. And it's like, why are you taking so much risk? You're going to stay retired whether you take a lot of risk or no risk.
Yeah.
I'm just more comfortable with it. And then I think you have to have that asset protection. When we talk about sequence of returns, what if you would have picked 2000 to retire or 2007 and we had a big downcline for the next 2 years? Protection of the asset is very, very important. So that's where I look at it. If you can focus on a plan, you don't have to worry about all the noise that's going on out there. And I think that's the most important thing. And have somebody that you can talk to when the emotions start to kick in.
Thanks for listening to the All Financial Hour podcast.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business All Insurance Group, LLC, AIG. All Financial Group, LLC is an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by All Insurance Group, LLC, AIG are not subject to investment advisor requirements. IPW and All Insurance Group, LLC, AIG are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. All Financial Group, LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by All Financial Group, LLC.
This radio show is intended for information purposes only.